One of the most difficult things is to work with numbers. If you make a test, and it doesn't matter if you have an ICP or a standard test kit or a HANA checker or whatever you use, you have a number. And this number gives you an idea. Let me say the number says you have 440 calcium. Now we look in our reef tanks and we see the corals don't grow. And it looks not like there's enough calcium inside. So what I do now? The most people say then, the detection is wrong. Not understand how the different tests work. It's different if you have an ICP or if you have a drop test or a HANA checker. Different method causing different values. If the value is really that far away, it's mostly not. It's only a few percent, and this few percent plays not the role. The whole test shows how it goes with the calcium, with the alkalinity, with the magnesium, and all the other levels. After looking to whole levels, we can say, okay, maybe we have really too low or too high calcium, and then we can adjust it. So the interpretation of a test and to work with people, experienced people who have the feeling for corals and who know how corals look like, if one parameter is not that right or yes, is the key to have success with ICP and the difference. So our proof, how we work daily, every day we work on it, is the daily testing of our systems, the daily check of our corals, and then we see if the ICP matches with that, what we call feeling. That's one of our proofs, and we are the only company in the world who has a coral farming, who has a production, who deliver worldwide, and have this experience in coral breeding and ICP together. It's nothing where I can have a proof. It's nothing where I can show a paper, but this is something which is the most important things between a number and to use it in a reef tank. And how we work now with the machines to be also sure there that we get the right numbers, this we will explain you in the lab, because this is pure technically, while this is a little bit emotion. The Fauna Marin lab is not only the machine and not the coral farm, it's the software behind. The software behind gives you the possibility to check all the values, to know everything about every element. So you have a database, you have a knowledge center, and you have your personal accounts, like our personal account for one of our corals here. So we have here our different type of aquariums, the different aquarium tanks where we breed our corals, quarantine station, whatever. So I check now one of these, and like you see, we check every day instead of Sunday, Saturday. There we do additional, usually colorimetric tests like alkalinity, like calcium, etc., which the people here do also. Because we always check alkalinity by the lab, alkalinity by my own testing. It's like then a little bit like a reference where we can work for. And it brings understandable how a coral looks like if you have the data. If you go on that, say, you can have a different type of values. That's all the values what we detect, so we did not have only an ICP. We have altogether, meanwhile, about 10 different type of machines. Every machine is specifically doing for aquarium water testing, not seawater. The difference of that I will explain a little bit later. The specific method to go on the aquarium is one of the reasons which is really, really important, because we have to deal with particles, we have to deal with a complete different water as pure seawater. Pure seawater containing very, very low amounts of metals, which are not detectable by ICP or OS. But not aquarium water. Aquarium water can contain 10,000, 100,000 times more as we have in seawater. That's why we need to calibrate and to take care of the machines that we look on salt water from aquarium, with organic compounds, with particles, with all the things. Typical lab analysis of seawater is the clean water from the ocean. It is cleaned, all is removed, it's filtered, it's prepared, and it's testing several times, and then they found out this is in the water. But this water has nothing to do with the water where the coral stands in a coral reef nearby the coast or in a river. And that's why we use a special method for aquarium testing. Here you can see now all the different things which we detect. We have the nitrate, we have the nitrate, phosphorus, total phosphorus, orthophosphate, and also the relation between this gives us a lot of information about the situation in the reef tank, because if we do the support and the interpretation of that, we did not see the aquarium. We are not in front, so the emotional things to look on corals is very limited for us to help. So that's why we need all the relations and we need all the information from your side as true as possible, because we know if you stay all the time from a reef tank, it's difficult to see these small details and difference. And that's what is for us more easy from far away to see, like from a picture or for the test, and we know exactly what's going in. That's the experience of about now more than 150,000 tests and the data what we have, which we collect in this system. Due to the German Data Protection Act or the European Data Protection Act, the stuff which is in the lab only have the test number. Without the test number, we did not know about the lab testing, because in this area you see only it's your account and none of us can go to this account. So what we see is the number, so every lab test is made anonymous. If you want to have the support, go your certified lab supporter. We train them, we show them everything, they know exactly what we do, how we do it, which parameters can be used, which relation can be used, and they are able to help you exactly with a really good knowledge about to take care of your aquarium and help them. Now you can have also a test which go far away. So why the test is made on this way, the PDF, it gives a fast overview about the most important values. The most important is on top, and then we go down. So if you want to do any changes, starting from the top, starting with the salinity or the pH or the alkalinity, the chloride, the sodium, the sulfate, the magnesium. Here you can also see different type of graphs. The blue line is the perfect line like it has to be. The bright blue one shows you how much the levels can go up and down. If it's under or over, it shows you different type of relation which disturb the corals for growing. If you have a standard test, very often a sample, the calcium test is green. It's 500, but it's marked as green. The strontium level is at 5.5, and it's marked as green. Every single element is perfect, but together in relation, it's a very bad thing, because corals cannot grow anymore. And that means all the nutrients will be released in your aquarium. The corals don't grow with all the negative effect you will have in the next weeks. So that's the reason why you use relations and make it optical for you to find out, oh, I have a bad relation, and that's a little bit the same. If you have a bad relation between sugar and salt, the meal is not that good. The same is with the nutrients. The same here we have with the trace elements and the unwanted elements. Also here we show especially for free reverse osmotic test, which is for free in one of our tests, which shows you maybe unwanted elements coming from the tap water or coming from the water out. It gives an information. It's not necessary to do it every week or every month, but sometimes it makes sense to control the reverse osmotic. And now, because the video get long, we go in the lab and there we show you the machines and the pure technical things, how we take care that the values that we make are really professional and are really accurate and precise, that you can have a trust on that what we do here. Actually the lab, because we are in the middle of the day, it's full in working, but we can have a close look of one of our machines, which is a Spectra ICP Green, and we have some specific reasons why we choose that type of machines for the seawater testing. For the reverse osmotic or for freshwater testing, we'll use another machine, which is the Spectra Blue. Later, we buy the new one, which is ICP Green, the machine which I will show you now, which make overall give the best results. And the good thing of this machine is you can make a lot of tests without having disturbance or problems like you have with the old test. The reason for that I will show you a little bit later, but now we have a look on the machine. Here you see actually the ICP test running. That's the argon gas plasma, which is the base for the testing. To explain it easily, what we do is we take your probe, like you can see it here, it goes through the machine, it will be nebulized, and then will be sprayed into this flame. The metals inside the solutions and the nutrients inside the solution will be shortly, easy said, get a lot of energy, so they will be burned. And after they go through, now you see it's changes. Now it's a new probe starting. You see all the orange, and that's the sodium. That's what I mean, that every metal, every element what we can detect here, creating another different coloration. At the two tubes here, you see that we have cameras looking on two sides of the flame, exactly in that part which is most stable, which don't give a lot of interferences. And the whole body of the machine is a huge camera system which checks the color and the amount of light. And due to the calibration which we use daily, we made daily, and the cleaning which we make daily, sometimes twice a day, due to the high amount of tests we do, then the machine knows, oh, I find this color in red and this amount, and that means I have a sample 8 milligrams of strontium in the probe. After the salt water, which is nebulized, burnt here, all the salt and all the dirt which happens due to this test goes out and will be released out with the airflow system. In the older machine, this happens not on this way, so we have a little bit problems with irregulation testing, and that's why we use that machine only for reverse osmotic. And the new models one, which has also development of about 10-15 years in optical, in camera systems, they are perfectly made for seawater. And nowadays we come down in the minimum level detection what we have. It's 10 times lower than the standard machine which we have before. And that means that we come low enough to show elements in relevant amounts, so that we know, okay, we have this amount in, and if it's under, usually it's not necessary to know if it's deeper or not. Lab technical guys, they always talk about and always want to know about the numbers, about the correction of calibration, and from this they might be seeing the quality of the lab. So look, every lab technicians today, we have 7 people here, most of them are studied or they have experience or they've been trained on the machine since many years for freshwater testing, for all the other things. They know exactly what they do, they know how to calibrate the machines, and there are some specific rules. In Germany or in Europe it calls the good laboratory practice. And that means that we have a minimum way how we calibrate the machines. On the calibration, there's a number, and the calibration says we do different solutions where we know how much of the stuff is in, and this will be marked by these dots. If this dot will be fine and the dot is right, then we get a certain number, and that's the main number where we look for. It's the 0.999. The minimum what we take care for is 0.9995. Everything what is under this number means that the calibration was not that quite good as we wanted. So we go there and we do the calibration again till all the elements what we have this calibration number and this sign. And then we know, okay, the machinery is right, and according to that what the machine can do is calibrated. But every lab in the world who has people which are trained on it and who looks for this will working on this base, because this is usually the standard. So now we're creating different results even. The point is, sometimes people think that the results are wide away from each other, but in fact it's only a few %. Different type of machines creating different type of values, different type of calibration. The stuff which is used, the material which is used can cause a little bit difference. That's why an interpretation of the lab is so important, because you can see in the interpretation if we are 1%, 2% to the next, which is as tested under different labs a really good level if we detect seawater. Because seawater is really a big problem for testing. It's a little bit like you search a small sand grain in a dune and not like a needle in a haystack, which is like freshwater testing. So that's a different technology, we have different difficulties, and we have to look for, in aquarium water, we have particles, we have poop, we have bacteria, all that things can creating different values. In our test, we use syringes to make the water as clear as possible, and due to the transport time as stable as possible. Everything which changes we know, and we can adjust it in the machines so that you get the parameters which you have when you remove the water or when you take the water out for the sample. And that's for what we use that machines, and that is a typical ICP, but that's not all. We have a ton of different machines like this one here, and there we detect the salinity, we detect the CO2 and the alkalinity. It's a little bit a different way as you do at home with your dropping test kits, but it's a very accurate one. So a good ICP lab today has nearby several different machines exactly made for that what you want to detect without to dilute. One of the differences in our lab is that we don't dilute the probes. We never did it. Many other labs do that because the technique what they use, like IC systems, like anything else, they need to be diluted. And in this diluting of the probes, there's a big possibility for mistake. And it doesn't matter if you do the calibration right or not, because the machine detects properly that the mistake was in the diluting. If it's not the right amount and later you calculate it up, you will have a mistake. The leading labs nowadays, they use specific standards, NIST standards from companies like this one, which especially make this for us. Which these standards, which is certified, you get papers for it, you pay a lot of money. A good standard is about $1,000 for a bottle multi-element standards. That's why it has to be extremely accurate. And that we use for calibration. Now, everybody will say, you have a good calibration, you will have good results. The problem is no. There can be a lot of mistakes happen inside a testing. Like I say, it could be a particle inside. It's possible that something ditches to the needle, which take it out, which brings different results. If it's outside wind, which have an effect on the airflow to the machines. High temperature, low temperature. Even the person who works on it can make different results. What's the point now to find out if you detect correctly or not? One of our proof you see in front of the videos are the cores, because cores never lie. If it's something wrong, I can go up, I can see on the cores. And that's also the reason why me personally will never sit in front of the machines. I have specialists for that. My work is the interpretation. My work is to bring the data to the cores, which is more an emotional work. That's my experience, which I have since I do my work. I can get the numbers. The numbers help me to find out if I'm wrong with my thinking about what's going wrong or not. And that's why I never sit on the machine, because when I run the machine, I will be always try to get good results. And that's what we do here, never. The lab is the lab, and the lab has only the order to make reliable and all-time good parameters. Me and the other of my staff who do the interpretation and do the support with the people, we only use the data. And that's something very, very important, not to sit by self in front of the machine. For this, specialists. The situation on the ICP market is made for a lot of marketing. Some labs standing there telling me we are the only people in the world who can do that. Someone says we can do it 25 times better than any others. Let us talk about facts. Machines are machines. Machines can be a little bit different. People are people, and there are a lot of good trained staff and educated staff coming from the university with experience with machines, which you can hire and which do then the work. They are not good aquarists, that's maybe correct, but that's not their work. So every good lab, and the leading labs in the world nowadays, they have people who have experience in lab testing and they know what they do. That's not the point why a lab is better than the other. There are several things which are very important about if a lab is trustable or not. One of the things is the used machines and how the machines will be used. In our thing here, what we do is that type of machine we use only for reverse osmotic water. The reason is following. This machine, that Spectra Blue, that's one of the machines which is widely used in many other labs. The machine state of the art, let me say 10, 12 years ago. There's one big difference between the green what we have. If you see, the flame goes up. Here, the flame goes this way. And as you can see here, the flame runs onto a metal plate here. Hopefully you can see it properly. And this plate is OP called, collected all the salt if you use it for salt water. It is technically completely correct that these machines, and with that way to test, can be a bit more precise and more better to find out a trace element. But which sense it makes. If you use properly on it, this machine can do it. If you have ultra pure water, you add one trace element on it, and then yes, it's better than the green one on this specific view, which has nothing to do with seawater testing. The fact is that this machine has some big issues about seawater testing because it collects all the dirt here, it collects the salt, and every time when the flame hits the salt, it's creating another light information which has to be calculated down of the level. So if you're lucky and you have the test in the first 10 or 20 tests, then the machine is quite good. It's maybe 1% a little bit more exact than the other one. But after these 10 or 20, when the stuff is full of salt, then the accuracy and the precision go down massively. So you have to recalculate it. The difference on that machine is, so we can go to another one and show the difference there, is the point that is way more stable. We can do 100, 200, 300 tests on the same level. So if we have here 100% accuracy on one specific trace element, which I really don't care, because it doesn't matter if I had 5.1, 5.2 zinc. What I want to know is that the metals like potassium, like calcium, magnesium, sodium, that they are very accurate, because they are the most important for me at the moment, iodine, fluoride, and they are not affected by different light stuff and salt which is still in the reaction chamber. Here you can see flame goes up and all the salt going up through the hole and going into the airflow. So the reaction room, we use that machines now for 2 years with several hundred tests every day, and you see that it's completely clean. If the machine's working, here's a lot of power on it. Even if there's always dirt in the chamber, the dirt can be released and come into the flame, and it will do a bad process then later to your analysis, even if you have the right calibration. This small trick and many other tricks what we use here to get precise and accurate parameters in the lab possibility. That means not that we are able to give a 0.01% right thing. It's a few percent sometimes, 1%, 2%, up and down it's possible, but for that lab like we do it using the interpretation, so we check the lab, we check the aquarium, and that we bring in line, that is the usable thing, and to be guaranteed that the machinery and the parameter what we give out are perfect. So this is the pure technical thing. Then we have the pure emotional thing about the lab together with the coral farm. But now we do a third thing, which is the key about using the machines, and which is something I think we are the only one actually who use that. We use software. If you do several tests in our house, we know exactly what we can expect from your parameters. I know in front due to the software, due to the activation of the probe. We know also, if you can show here, what this person, you see we have only the number so we don't know the name, has what we have to accept in his parameters. Now the machine check it up if the exception is same like that what we detect. If it's inside certain levels, we know, okay, that's the first test. The second test what we do is that we know exactly what an average of all the tests we do, and actually do about between 300 and 400 tests a day. So we know the average of every element, the average about the last year, the last week, the last month. And so we find out, okay, your test expects that what we think we will find, and it's in the same range of all the others 150,000 tests what we had before. That we know that the machine is in the right level, then we know your test is in the right level, and we can give it out. If something is found which is not correct, the machinery automatically take your test, your parameters out, and give it to one of our lab girls who take care then and looks physically directly to the machine on the lines that she can find out, and she can see if something goes wrong with some particle, or she decide to test the second probe to be sure that your parameters are correct. So overall, if you have a feeling that the parameter what we detect is not correct, or the changes are too big, then contact us and support at Fauna Marin, or, which is also one thing which is not usual in labs, we have certified lab supporters all over the world. You can find them in the lab database. These supporters are trained. They know every machine what we use in detail. They know exactly, and they have the data, if the machine today was very good, was a little bit lower, if the weather have any effect, and so they can tell you exactly how to work with all your parameters and how to work with all the numbers and all the relations in to get the best result in your aquarium. So use the knowledge of these lab supporters, use their experience for your aquarium, because to do it alone with all that numbers which is on a test is not that easy and needs to have a lot of experience. As a beginner, you cannot have this experience, that's really normal. So choose the lab supporter, go to them, and you will see they will give you absolutely great customer support, and they will help you all the time out, because we choose really experienced people with a long experience in coral keeping. These are all people who don't do the tests, but they know exactly where to look for on other aquariums. I hope this gives a little bit more clearance and maybe on some people a little bit more trust about that what we do here, and that it's not only 2-3 machines, or we do the testing on nitrate with some dropping. We have some specific machine. Overall, we are now more than 1 million in machines which we invest in all the labs. We run out about more than 10 machines. Even the software is one of the highest development, using AI technology to find out and to detect the machine and find out what you have to do in your reef tank. So if you have any question, please comment it down. We are very happy to show you that, make another video and answer you all the questions. We will be happy to do that. Thanks a lot for all the time you look at our videos. I hope we give you some information, and have a good time. Bye bye.